The commotion inside the first-class cabin of Royal Sky Airways was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. A tall, elegant woman in a designer navy blue gown, gold heels clicking sharply against the marble floor of the jet bridge, stood face-to-face with a young girl holding a slim brown envelope and a tattered boarding pass. "Madam, please, this is my assigned seat," the girl's trembling voice carried through the air, yet there was steel underneath it. The woman, identified by her security escort as Madame Veronica Hudson, one of the richest and most influential CEOs in West Africa, folded her arms and let out a cold laugh. "Young lady, I don't care what your ticket says. Do you know who I am?" Passengers turned. Flight attendants exchanged nervous looks. The plane was due to depart for London in 20 minutes, and the tension between the two women was suffocating. The student, Amara Chaik, clutched her handbag tightly. Her eyes were determined even as her voice quivered. "I don't need to know who you are, ma. The seat is mine." 18A, she held up her ticket for everyone to see. Veronica tilted her chin arrogantly. "My ticket says 18A too," she said, tapping her perfectly manicured nails against her phone screen. "So maybe you printed yours at a cybercafe." Laughter rippled from the two aides standing behind her. But Amara didn't back down. "I worked for 3 years to get this scholarship. I've never been on a plane before, but I know right from wrong. Please, ma, check with the flight attendant. This is my seat." The lead attendant, a tall man named Kweku, approached cautiously. "Ladies, please calm down. Let's check this properly. Miss Amara, may I see your ticket again?" She handed it over. He compared it to the one Veronica's assistant displayed on a phone. His brow furrowed. "This is strange." Everyone leaned in. Kweku adjusted his glasses, double-checking. "They both have the same seat number 18A, but one was reissued just 2 hours ago." "Of course," Veronica said smugly. "Because I called the airline directly. I don't queue or beg for seats like everyone else." Gasps filled the cabin. Amara's hands began to shake. "So, you made them cancel my seat?" "I made them correct a mistake," Veronica replied with icy confidence. At that moment, something shifted in Amara's face. Fear gave way to boldness. She stepped forward, her small frame casting a surprising shadow under the cabin lights. "You can buy seats, ma, but not people's destinies. That seat belongs to me. Are you challenging me?" Veronica's voice dropped, venom-laced. "I'm defending myself," Amara said. Before Kweku could intervene, Veronica reached for the call button. "Captain, delay the takeoff. I need this resolved." But the moment she spoke into the intercom, the plane jolted. An unexpected turbulence shook everyone slightly off balance. Her phone slipped from her hand, landing on the floor near Amara's feet. The screen lit up, showing something shocking. An email thread from the airline manager, with Veronica's name authorizing a manual override of a seat assigned to a scholarship traveler. The passengers gasped again. "Madam, what's this?" one of them asked aloud. Veronica's face drained of color. "That's confidential," she snapped, lunging for her phone, but Amara had already seen it. Her lips parted in disbelief. "You bribed them to take my seat," she whispered. The cabin fell silent. Even the hum of the air conditioner seemed to fade. Veronica straightened up, regaining her composure. "Enough of this nonsense. I'll take the seat and the girl can sit somewhere else. It's just a chair." Kweku's tone hardened. "Madam, this is not a private jet. The rules apply to everyone." For a fleeting second, Veronica's eyes flashed with panic. Then she smirked. "Rules don't apply to billionaires." Before anyone could react, Amara did something no one expected. She sat down in 18A. Boldly. Firmly. She buckled her seatbelt and folded her arms. "Then you'll have to drag me out yourself." Whispers filled the air. "Who is this girl? She has guts. Veronica Hudson won't take this lightly." Veronica's nostrils flared. "Do you know what you've just done, girl?" "Yes," Amara said calmly. "I stood up for myself." Veronica stepped closer, her shadow falling over Amara's face. "You just made a very powerful enemy." But before she could say more, a man's voice echoed from the aisle, deep, authoritative. "Enough. What's going on here?" Everyone turned. Standing there was Mr. Desmond Afolabi, chairman of Royal Sky Airways, and Veronica's biggest rival in the business world. The color drained from Veronica's face. "Desmond, what are you doing here?" He looked at Amara, then at Veronica, then at Kweku. "I'm here because I got upgraded at the last minute to first class. And apparently, I've just witnessed one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen from a supposed leader." Veronica froze, unable to speak. Desmond's gaze softened as he turned to Amara. Miss, please keep your seat. You've earned it. He turned to the flight attendant. Move me anywhere else. I'm fine. Amara's eyes filled with tears. The cabin erupted in whispers again, but the most stunned person of all was Veronica. Her reputation was hanging by a thread. But what happened after the plane took off was something no one on board could have imagined. Because midway through the flight, when the turbulence struck again, and the alarms began to sound, Amara was the one who saved Veronica's life. The lights flickered violently as the plane shook midair. The sound of overhead bins rattling filled the cabin. Screams echoed. Some passengers clutched their seats, others prayed under their breath. Amara's heart pounded as she looked through the tiny window beside her. They were thousands of feet above the Atlantic Ocean, but the dark clouds outside looked like a storm made of smoke. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated and fasten your seatbelts. The captain's voice cracked through the intercom, tense and uncertain. For a few moments, chaos reigned. Drinks spilled, babies cried, and one elderly woman began hyperventilating. Then, from the corner of her eye, Amara saw Madame Veronica Hudson gripping her armrest tightly, her lips trembling. Gone was the arrogant, unshakable billionaire. She looked human. Frightened. Madam, please fasten your seatbelt properly, Kweku, the flight attendant, said, trying to stay calm as he hurried down the aisle. But Veronica was frozen. I can't move, she stammered. Amara didn't think twice. She unbuckled her seatbelt, against every safety instruction, and reached for Veronica's hand. Here, she said, tightening the strap across Veronica's chest. The older woman's perfume mixed with the metallic tang of fear in the air. You're safe now. Veronica stared at her, confused and humbled all at once. Why are you helping me after I treated you like that? Amara managed a small smile, though her hands shook. Because kindness isn't something I sell or buy, Ma. It's who I am. Before Veronica could respond, a loud crack echoed through the plane. A panel above them had loosened and a metal latch dropped dangerously close. The oxygen masks deployed, dangling like lifelines. People panicked. Amara quickly pulled one over Veronica's face before putting on hers. The billionaire's eyes filled with tears as she realized the student who had challenged her earlier was now shielding her from falling debris. Minutes passed, long heavy minutes, until the turbulence eased. The captain's voice returned, calmer now. Apologies, passengers. We encountered a sudden wind shear, but the situation is under control. We'll be resuming normal flight shortly. A sigh of collective relief filled the cabin. Amara sat back in her seat, exhausted but relieved. Veronica kept looking at her as though seeing her for the first time. When the flight attendants came around to check on passengers, Desmond Afolabi leaned over from his new seat nearby and said quietly, "Young lady, that was brave. You didn't just save her, you reminded everyone here of something money can't buy." Amara blushed slightly. "Thank you, sir. I only did what felt right." Veronica said nothing for the rest of the flight. She was unusually quiet, staring at the clouds through the window with a mix of shame and reflection. When they finally landed in London, the tension from earlier had faded into something new, respect. As passengers clapped softly for the captain, Amara reached for her small backpack, preparing to disembark. But as she stood to leave, Veronica's voice stopped her. "Miss Amara." Amara turned slowly. Veronica rose, straightening her coat. "You said you're on a scholarship, right?" "Yes, Ma. For postgraduate studies in biomedical engineering. It's my first time leaving Nigeria." Veronica's lips parted as though she wanted to say something kind, but she hesitated. The pride was still there, though cracked. "See. Good for you." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. As they walked toward the exit, Desmond caught up with Amara. "Miss Amara, do you mind sharing which university you're attending?" "University of Oxford, sir," she replied with quiet pride. Veronica's head snapped around at that. "Oxford." "Yes, Ma," Amara said. "I won the Commonwealth Scholarship. I'll be doing cancer research." For a moment, Veronica looked stunned. She cleared her throat and looked away. Impressive. But there was something unsettled in her gaze, something more than surprise. At the baggage claim, Amara stood alone waiting for her single suitcase, while Veronica and her aides collected 3 designer trunks. Desmond walked past her, but not before whispering, "You'll go far, young lady. People like you change the world." Amara smiled shyly. As Veronica turned to leave the terminal, she hesitated again. She looked back at the student who had challenged her, humbled her, and saved her. Then she muttered under her breath, "Amara Chaik. I'll remember that name." Outside, the London rain began to fall, soft, cleansing, and symbolic. Amara stepped into a taxi, her heart light. She didn't know that this single encounter, this one flight, would soon change her entire life. Because just 3 days later, a scandal broke online. A leaked email showing how a powerful CEO bribed an airline to reassign a seat meant for a scholarship student. And the name on the leaked document was Veronica Hudson. The internet erupted. Hashtags trended. The whole world wanted to know, who was the brave student who stood up to her? Amara's life was about to take a turn she could never have imagined. By the third morning after the flight, the story was everywhere. From local Nigerian blogs to international news sites, headlines screamed, "Billionaire CEO caught in seat bribery scandal. Young scholar defies powerful businesswoman mid-flight. Veronica Hudson humiliated at 30,000 feet." Clips recorded by passengers on their phones flooded social media. In one viral video, Amara could be seen calmly holding her boarding pass while Veronica's angry voice echoed through the plane. The footage even captured the shocking moment Desmond Afolabi, Veronica's rival, defended Amara and demanded fairness. The internet exploded with reactions. Hashtags like #SeatScandal, #BraveStudent, and #JusticeForAmara trended globally. Amara had no idea any of this was happening. She was still settling into her new life at Oxford. Her small dorm room filled with the scent of cocoa butter lotion and the sound of rain tapping gently on the old windowpane. She had no television, no luxury, just her books and dreams. But that afternoon, her phone started buzzing non-stop. Her friend back home, Ngozi, called screaming, "Amara, you're all over the internet. The woman you fought on the plane, Veronica Hudson, her story is everywhere. Girl, you're trending." Amara froze, confused. "Trending? What do you mean trending?" Ngozi's laughter mixed with excitement. "They called you the fearless girl who stood for justice. People are praising you. Some say you should be honored. Others are dragging that CEO to filth." Amara's stomach twisted. "Ngozi, that's not what I wanted. I didn't mean to embarrass anyone. I know, my dear, but the world saw everything. They saw how you stood your ground, how you helped her during the turbulence. You were real, you were kind, and people love that." Amara sat down slowly, holding her phone in disbelief. Meanwhile, across town at a luxury hotel in central London, Veronica Hudson was watching her world fall apart. Her name was plastered all over the news ticker. Her company's shares were plummeting. Her board of directors was demanding an emergency meeting. Her assistant, B.Z, tried to speak gently. "Madam, maybe it's best you issue an apology. People are saying nonsense." Veronica barked, pacing furiously. "I've built an empire for 20 years, and now one foolish video is supposed to destroy me?" B.Z swallowed hard. "But ma, the video looks bad. And that student, Amara. People adore her. She's been invited to a morning talk show already." Veronica stopped mid-pace. "A talk show?" "Yes, ma. BBC Africa wants her to share her story." For a long moment, Veronica said nothing. Then she sat down, eyes dark and calculating. "If she speaks, it's over for me." Back at the university, Amara's email pinged. It was from BBC Africa. "Dear Miss Chaik, we would love to feature your inspiring story on our youth empowerment segment. Kindly confirm availability for an interview tomorrow." Her heart skipped. She'd never been on camera before. But after a few moments of thought, she decided it might be a chance to clarify the truth, to show she hadn't sought fame or revenge. The next day, Amara appeared live on television, wearing a simple Ankara jacket over her white shirt. Her braided hair was neatly tied back. She spoke humbly, with sincerity that melted hearts across continents. "I didn't stand up to humiliate anyone," she said softly. "I stood up because I believed fairness should not be for sale. Every person, rich or poor, deserves respect." The interviewer smiled. "And you even saved her life midair. That moment changed many minds about you." Amara blushed slightly. "I just did what anyone should do in a crisis." When the show ended, the studio audience gave her a standing ovation. But elsewhere, Veronica was watching the interview in her hotel suite. Her hand trembled slightly as she set down her glass of wine. For the first time, guilt sank deep into her chest. She turned to BZ quietly. "Find me her contact. I want to meet her privately." That night, Amara received an unexpected email from a private number. "Miss Chaik, I would like to speak with you in person. No cameras, no reporters. Just two women. Veronica Hudson." Amara stared at the message for a long time, unsure whether to reply. Part of her wanted to forgive. Another part feared it was a trap. She prayed silently before responding. If your intentions are sincere, I'll meet you. But I want transparency. The meeting was set for the next morning at a quiet cafe near the Thames. When they met, Veronica arrived in a gray coat and dark glasses, looking smaller, older, and more human than the woman Amara remembered. Thank you for coming, Veronica said quietly. Amara nodded politely. I didn't come for revenge, Ma. I just want peace. Veronica hesitated before speaking, her voice low. You embarrassed me. But you also opened my eyes. I've lived thinking power could erase conscience. I was wrong. Amara looked at her curiously. Then maybe this was meant to happen, for both of us to learn something. Veronica's lips curved faintly, the first hint of humility she'd ever shown. I'd like to make it right. How? Veronica slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a scholarship document, the Hudson Foundation Youth Leaders Grant, newly created and named in Amara's honor. I want to sponsor 10 young students like you every year, she said quietly. Because of you. Tears welled in Amara's eyes. Ma, this is too much. Veronica shook her head. No, it's not enough. For a long moment, both women sat in silence, the sound of rain outside wrapping around their shared remorse and newfound respect. Neither of them knew that this meeting, this quiet reconciliation, was being secretly recorded by a stranger sitting 2 tables away. A man who was about to twist the story all over again. Hey viewers, what would you have done if you were Amara? Would you forgive Madame Veronica or walk away after what she did? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more gripping African stories, and tell us where you're watching from. We love seeing our viewers across the world. The next morning, chaos erupted again, this time online. A grainy video was circulating on social media, showing Amara and Veronica sitting across from each other in a London cafe. The caption read, "Secret deal exposed. Amara accepts bribe from Billionaire CEO to clear her name." Within hours, it had millions of views. Bloggers twisted the story, claiming Amara had sold her integrity for money. Commenters who once called her the face of courage, now called her a hypocrite. Amara woke up to hundreds of hateful messages. You're just like them. You pretended to be a victim but you're chasing fame. You took her money, didn't you? Her heart sank. She scrolled through the endless flood of accusations, tears blurring her vision. She called Ngozi in panic. Ngozi, it's all lies. She only offered to start a scholarship for others. She didn't give me a kobo. Ngozi's voice trembled. I know, Amara, but people believe what they see. You need to defend yourself quickly. The internet doesn't wait. Meanwhile, in her penthouse suite, Veronica slammed her tablet onto the table, furious. Who recorded that meeting? She demanded, glaring at her assistant, Beezy. I don't know, Ma. We booked that cafe privately. Veronica's mind raced. Someone's trying to destroy both of us. Across the city, in a dimly lit office, Desmond Afolabi watched the viral video with a slow, calculated smile. He leaned back in his chair and said to his secretary, "Looks like Miss Hudson's halo is officially gone. This could be the leverage we've been waiting for." "Should we release the rest of the footage, sir?" the secretary asked. Desmond's eyes glittered. "Not yet. Let the fire burn first." 2 days later, Amara was summoned by the University Ethics Committee. The leaked video had raised concerns about her involvement with a corporate figure under investigation. She sat nervously before 5 professors, her fingers twisting around the strap of her bag. "Miss Chaik," said the chairman, an elderly British man, "you understand the gravity of this situation, yes?" "Yes, sir. But I assure you nothing unethical happened." She offered to help others. "I never accepted anything for myself." The committee members exchanged glances. "We believe you," one woman said gently, "but until this is resolved publicly, we may have to suspend your scholarship temporarily." Amara's eyes widened. "Suspend it? But this scholarship is my life. My tuition, my accommodation, everything." "I'm sorry, Miss Chaik. We have to protect the university's reputation." She walked out of the office in tears. Her dream was crumbling. That night, Amara sat alone by the Thames, staring at the reflections of the city lights in the dark water. Her heart ached. "God, I did nothing wrong. Why does truth always suffer?" she whispered. She didn't notice the figure approaching from behind until a familiar voice said softly, "You shouldn't be here alone." It was Veronica Hudson. Amara turned, startled. "Ma? Why are you here?" Veronica sighed, wrapping her shawl tighter against the cold. "Because this mess isn't your fault, it's mine. And I intend to fix it. Amara shook her head. It's too late. They've suspended my scholarship. My name is ruined. Veronica looked at her, guilt heavy in her eyes. Then I'll make the truth public. I'll tell the world what really happened. Won't that destroy you too? Veronica gave a sad smile. Maybe it's time the world sees who I really am. Maybe that's my redemption. The next morning, Veronica called a press conference at her London office. Reporters packed the room. Cameras flashed. She stepped up to the microphone, her face bare of makeup, her voice trembling slightly. I owe the world, and one young woman in particular, an apology, she began. Yes, I was wrong. I misused my influence. But that young woman, Miss Amara Chaik, showed me humility and courage. She saved my life and she opened my eyes. Gasps filled the room as she continued. The video of our cafe meeting was taken without consent. I did not pay Miss Chaik a single penny. She refused every offer. Instead, she inspired me to fund a program to help disadvantaged students, because of who she is, not what I did. One reporter shouted, So, are you saying she's innocent? Yes, Veronica said firmly. Completely innocent. And I will defend her name as fiercely as I once tried to protect my ego. The news spread like wildfire. By evening, hashtags flipped. Hashtag We Stand With Amara, hashtag Truth Prevails, and hashtag Veronica Redeemed trended worldwide. Oxford reinstated Amara's scholarship within 24 hours, and BBC invited her again to speak, this time about forgiveness, resilience, and truth. During the broadcast, Amara smiled softly into the camera and said, Sometimes pain has a purpose. If I hadn't lost that seat on the plane, I might never have learned that even those who hurt us can change. The studio erupted in applause. But even as her life began to heal, there was one person still watching from the shadows, Desmond Afolabi. He turned off his TV slowly, his jaw tightening. She thinks it's over, he muttered. She has no idea I'm not done yet. Because Desmond had just uncovered something explosive. Veronica's company had an unfiled charity fund, and her confession to bribing the airline could legally destroy her empire. He was going to use it, and in doing so drag Amara down with her. The storm wasn't over. It was only beginning. The wind outside Veronica Hudson's penthouse screamed like a warning, hurling sheets of rain against the glass windows. Inside, Veronica stood before a wall of screens flashing urgent headlines. Hudson Group under investigation after CEO's confession. Board calls emergency meeting to oust Veronica Hudson. Stock value drops by 47% in 48 hours. Her world, built over 2 decades of ruthless ambition, was collapsing. BZ, her assistant, hovered anxiously nearby. Madam, the board is demanding your resignation. They said you damaged the company's image beyond repair. Veronica turned slowly. Her voice was quiet, too quiet. After all I've done for them? After I made Hudson Group what it is? BZ lowered her gaze. They don't care, Ma. They're only thinking of profit. Veronica looked out the window at the storm, her reflection faint against the lightning flashes. Funny, she murmured. I used to think I could control everything, people, power, even fate. Now, the only person who ever stood up to me might be the only one who can save me. Across town, Amara was studying in the quiet corner of her dorm library when her phone buzzed. It was a message from Veronica. Amara, please. They're trying to destroy me. I know you don't owe me anything, but I need your help. Meet me at the Savoy, room 901. Tonight. Amara stared at the message for a long moment. She had every reason to walk away. But something deep inside whispered otherwise, the same inner voice that had made her stand her ground on that plane. She texted back. I'll come. But I want the truth, everything. When Amara arrived, Veronica was sitting by the fireplace, a folder spread open on the table. She looked nothing like the glamorous CEO who had once towered over her in the plane's first-class cabin. Her face was pale, her eyes red. Thank you for coming, Veronica said softly. I came because you said you needed help, Amara replied cautiously. Veronica gestured for her to sit. I think someone's framing me, and it's Desmond Afolabi. Amara's brows furrowed. Your rival? Yes. He leaked that cafe video. He's been after my company for years. And now, he's threatening to release documents that could send me to prison, unless I hand over my entire stake in Hudson Group. Amara frowned. What kind of documents? Veronica pulled out a printed email thread. Charity fund accounts. Years ago, I created offshore accounts for a scholarship foundation, but Desmond's twisting it to look like embezzlement. He's saying I laundered company money. Amara scanned the papers. But this fund, It's legitimate, isn't it? Veronica nodded weakly. It was meant to help girls like you. I just didn't handle it transparently. My lawyers are terrified. If the government believes Desmond's story, I lose everything. Silence filled the room for a moment, broken only by the crackling fire. Amara looked up slowly. Why tell me this, Ma? Veronica's eyes glistened. Because you're the only person who has nothing to gain from my downfall. You're honest, brave, and the world trusts you. If you speak for me, if you tell the truth about who I am, it might stop him. Amara's heart pounded. She had fought this woman, forgiven her, and now, she was being asked to save her. I can't lie for you, Amara said carefully. But I can tell the truth, if the truth will help. Veronica nodded, her voice breaking. That's all I ask. The next morning the headlines took another twist. Student who defied CO speaks out again. She's not who you think she is. Amara's televised statement went viral again, this time painting a fuller picture. I don't defend corruption, she said firmly. But I believe in redemption. Madam Veronica made mistakes, but I've seen her try to make them right. I've seen her choose integrity when it would have been easier to lie. She's not perfect, but she's not evil. The internet erupted again, but this time opinions were divided. Some praised Amara for compassion, others accused her of manipulation. Meanwhile, Desmond was furious. He slammed his fist on his desk. She's ruining everything. I had the board in my hand and now they're hesitating. His secretary entered timidly. Sir, should I go ahead and send the final documents to the press? Desmond paused, eyes narrowing. No. We'll crush them both, but not through the media. We'll do it legally. He reached for his phone and dialed. Commissioner? It's Afolabi. I have evidence of corporate fraud involving Veronica Hudson and a Nigerian student named Amara Chaik. That evening, as Amara left the university library, 2 police officers approached her. Miss Amara Chaik? Yes. You're under investigation for financial conspiracy. You need to come with us. Her heart nearly stopped. What? No, there must be a mistake. They escorted her to a waiting car. Flashlights from nearby paparazzi blinded her. Cameras clicked. Within hours, Amara Chaik arrested trended online. Veronica watched the news from her hotel room and went pale. No, she whispered, gripping the armrest. He's using her to get to me. She grabbed her phone, dialing frantically. Give me my lawyers. We're going to war. But even she didn't realize that Desmond had already moved faster. He wasn't just after her company, he was about to expose a secret that could destroy both her legacy and Amara's life forever. Because hidden in those charity fund files was something Veronica never told anyone. A name. A beneficiary. Amara Chaik. And the records showed that years before their fateful flight, Veronica had unknowingly funded the scholarship that sent Amara abroad. Fate had never been random. Their lives had been tied together long before that seat dispute. And Desmond was about to make that revelation public, twisting it into a story of deceit and fraud that would shake the world. The next morning, the entire world woke up to a headline that shook both Nigeria and the international press. Shocking revelation. Billionaire CEO's secret connection to scholarship student exposed. Amara Chaik's education was funded by Veronica Hudson's missing charity funds. Every news outlet ran with the same story. Pictures of Amara being escorted by police flashed across screens. The media twisted the narrative, claiming that Amara and Veronica had been secretly working together all along, using the charity fund as a cover-up for financial fraud. Social media erupted. Comments poured in. So she was never innocent. Everything was planned from day one. These rich people and their scams. Amara sat in an interrogation room, her wrists trembling. The room was cold and gray, smelling faintly of old coffee. 2 officers stared at her across the table. Miss Chaik, one of them began, his tone firm but not unkind. You received a scholarship under the Commonwealth Fund 5 years ago. But records show that the original grant money came through a private foundation, Hudson Charities. Amara's eyes widened. I never knew that. I didn't even apply through any Hudson organization. It was through my university. The second officer leaned forward. Do you expect us to believe you had no idea? Yes. Amara said desperately. I didn't know. Please, you have to believe me. I'm just a student. I've never even met Madame Veronica before that flight. The first officer scribbled notes quietly, watching her face. We'll verify everything. For now, you'll have to remain in custody until we confirm the legitimacy of your scholarship documents. Amara's heart broke. Please, I'm innocent. Meanwhile, at Hudson Group headquarters in Lagos, the boardroom was in uproar. Veronica stood facing 11 men and women, all glaring at her with cold, corporate judgment. One of them, a bald man with a silver wristwatch, slammed a folder on the table. You didn't tell us your foundation funded that girl. Now the authorities think Hudson Group is laundering money through her scholarship. Veronica's voice trembled, though she tried to stay composed. It was a personal initiative, not a company transaction. Another board member sneered. Then why is the foundation registered under Hudson's corporate name? You mixed personal charity with company funds. I didn't mean to, she said quietly. I just wanted to help brilliant students. Enough, the chairman barked. You've dragged this company through scandal after scandal. Effective immediately, we are voting for your suspension as CEO pending investigation. The gavel struck the table like a death knell. Veronica stood still, her mind blank. Everything she had built was gone. That evening, rain poured over the London detention center where Amara was held. She sat on the narrow cot, staring at the floor, her mind replaying every moment since that flight. How could something so small, a seat dispute, lead to this? She thought about her mother, who used to sell Gary and groundnuts under the hot Enugu sun just to send her to school. She thought about the pride in her mother's eyes when she got the scholarship. A tear slid down her cheek. Mama, I didn't do anything wrong, she whispered. The sound of metal keys turned. The door opened. A lawyer entered, tall, confident, and dressed in a neat gray suit. Miss Amara Chaik? Yes. I'm Barrister Okechukwu Naji. Madam Veronica Hudson sent me. She wants you released immediately. Amara's eyes widened. She's helping me? Yes. She insists this entire situation is her fault. She's filed an affidavit taking full responsibility for the financial confusion. Wait, what? She's admitting guilt. Yes, the lawyer said gravely. She's ready to lose everything to protect you. Hours later, Veronica sat alone in her hotel suite, signing the final papers. The press outside roared like a pack of hungry lions, cameras flashing through the glass doors. Her lawyer stood beside her. Ma'am, once you sign this statement, you're accepting full liability for the mismanagement of the foundation. You understand this could mean prison time? Veronica's hand paused briefly. Her eyes were tired but resolute. I understand. But that girl's future can't die because of my mistakes. She signed. The next morning, Amara was released. As she stepped out of the station, hundreds of journalists surged forward, microphones thrust toward her. Miss Chaik, do you have anything to say about Madame Hudson's confession? Did she pay you to stay quiet? Are you still in contact with her? Amara stopped, lifted her head, and spoke calmly. She didn't have to do this for me. But she did. That tells me something about who she's becoming. I'll never forget what she's done for me, good and bad. Her words melted hearts across the world. But as the news played, Desmond Afolabi sat in his dark office, watching quietly. A faint smirk played on his lips. He picked up his phone and said to his secretary, "Send the second file." "What file, sir?" "The one with the bank records. The one that shows where the money really went." The following day, an anonymous email was sent to every major news outlet. It contained screenshots of transactions showing that the scholarship fund had not only covered Amara's tuition but also deposited 15 million Nigerian nairas into a personal account in her name, an account she had never seen before. The evidence was damning. The world believed the worst. Again. New fraud evidence emerges against student hero. Veronica and Amara's partnership deeper than we thought. Veronica watched the report in horror. That's impossible. I never transferred such money. Beezy turned pale. Madam, could it be Desmond? Could he have forged it? Yes, Veronica whispered. He's framing both of us. But we'll prove him wrong. And so, the two unlikely women, once enemies now bound by shared pain, decided to fight together. But neither of them knew that Desmond's revenge was far from over. He was about to make his final move, one that would leave the world speechless, and expose the darkest secret about the entire Hudson Foundation. Tell us in the comments below, backhand index pointing down. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story so others can join the discussion. Where are you watching from today? Night had fallen over London, the kind of night that swallowed sound and light. Inside a discreet law office in Kensington, Veronica Hudson and Amara Chaik sat side by side across from Barrister Okechukwu, both women exhausted but determined. The evidence Desmond leaked had gone viral, twisting the truth into a noose around their necks. Veronica's voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed sleeplessness. Desmond forged those transactions. I never sent that money and I can prove it. Okechukwu adjusted his glasses. Ma'am, I agree. But to clear your name, we'll need access to Hudson Group's original banking servers, and Desmond has control of them now. The board locked you out the minute they suspended you. Amara leaned forward. So what do we do? Just let him destroy us. The lawyer hesitated. There might be another way. He opened a folder and slid a small USB drive across the table. One of our IT analysts discovered something strange, a hidden directory in the Foundation's archives. It contains unedited audit logs. If we can extract them, they'll show who really moved the money. Veronica frowned. Where are the files stored? Okechukwu took a deep breath. On Hudson Group's main server in Lagos. Silence. Amara's heart raced. So someone has to go there and get them? Yes, the lawyer said. But it's risky. If Desmond finds out, he'll destroy the data before you even land. Veronica exhaled deeply, then stood. Then I'll go myself. Amara shot her a shocked look. Ma, you can't. You're under investigation. You'll be arrested the moment you arrive. Veronica turned to her, a faint smile touching her lips. Then you'll go. No one suspects you. You're the perfect person to retrieve those files. Me? You're the only one I trust, Veronica said. And you're smarter than you think. 3 days later, Amara found herself stepping off a plane at Murtala Muhammad International Airport, her heart pounding. Lagos smelled of rain, exhaust fumes, and a strange kind of homecoming. Wearing a plain t-shirt and jeans, she blended easily into the crowd. Her only luggage, a small backpack, the USB stick from Okechukwu, and an address written on a folded note, Hudson Group Headquarters, Victoria Island. Meanwhile, Desmond Afolabi was in his office at the same building, sipping coffee as thunder rolled across the lagoon. He smirked as his secretary entered. Sir, she said nervously, Interpol just cleared Madam Hudson for questioning in 48 hours. She's on her way to Nigeria. Good, Desmond replied. Let her come. By the time she lands, her reputation will be ashes. He opened his drawer and pulled out a flash drive identical to the one Okechukwu gave Amara. It contained the forged transactions, proof of his handiwork. He whispered to himself, one more move and the empire is mine. By nightfall, Amara stood outside the glittering Hudson Tower. The rain drizzled lightly, streetlights casting golden halos on the wet pavement. She inhaled deeply, pulled her hoodie over her braided hair, and slipped through the side entrance Okechukwu's contact had arranged. Inside, the building was silent except for the hum of air conditioners. She moved quickly, clutching the USB stick. A young IT intern named Kunnel, who worked secretly with Okechukwu, met her near the server room. You're Miss Amara? He whispered. Yes. Okay, follow me. We don't have much time. The backup servers refresh at midnight. They hurried into a small glass room filled with blinking lights. Kunnel typed rapidly, muttering to himself. These files are encrypted. But I can break it. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hall. Kunnel froze. Someone's coming. Amara's pulse skyrocketed. Who? He peeked through the glass door. Oh no, it's Mr. Desmond. Amara ducked behind a cabinet as Desmond's deep voice filled the room. I know you're in here, he said slowly. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Kunnel stammered. Yes, sir, I was just updating the systems. Save the lies, Desmond snapped. You think I don't know you're working with her? He grabbed Kunnel's laptop and smashed it onto the floor. Sparks flew. Amara's heart pounded in her chest. If Desmond found her, it was over. He turned toward the servers, his eyes scanning the room. Where's the student? I know she came back. Then, from her hiding spot, Amara did the unthinkable. She stepped out. I'm right here. Desmond froze. You really have courage, don't you? I'm not afraid of you, she said, her voice trembling only slightly. You've hurt enough people. He smirked. You think truth matters in this world? You're naive. Before he could move, Amara pressed a small button on her wristwatch, sending a live video feed straight to Barrister Okechukwu's laptop in London. Every word Desmond said was being recorded. You forged those files, she said boldly. And you framed both of us. Desmond's eyes darkened. You have no proof. Oh, but I do, she replied, nodding toward the still blinking servers. Because you forgot one thing. Hudson Group's system logs every user action. Even yours. Kunnel, regaining courage, quickly restored power to one of the terminals. She's right, sir. I can see your login timestamp, exactly when you altered the accounts. Desmond lunged forward trying to pull the plug, but Amara shouted, "Now, Colonel." He hit enter. The files downloaded to Amara's USB in seconds. A green light blinked, transfer complete. Desmond roared, snatching at her wrist, but the door burst open. Interpol agents stormed in. "Mr. Desmond Afolabi, you are under arrest for cyber forgery, financial fraud, and obstruction of justice." The color drained from his face. "This isn't over," he shouted as they dragged him away. "You'll regret this." Amara stood frozen, clutching the USB tightly. Tears rolled down her cheeks, tears of relief, exhaustion, and victory. 2 days later, at a crowded press conference in Lagos, Amara stood beside Veronica. Cameras flashed as Veronica faced the microphones. "Desmond Afolabi has been arrested," she announced. "The truth is out. And today I am publicly reinstating the Hudson Youth Scholarship Fund, legally, transparently, and with Miss Amara Chaik as its new director." Gasps and applause filled the room. Amara turned toward Veronica, overwhelmed. "Ma, I can't." "You can," Veronica said, smiling warmly. "You've earned it. You represent everything I once lost: honor, humility, and hope." The two women embraced and the crowd erupted in cheers. But in the corner of the hall, a shadowy figure, one of Desmond's associates, watched silently, a faint smile creeping across his face. He whispered into his phone, "It's not over. The real secret's still buried. She doesn't know who funded that scholarship first. Not even Veronica does." And with that he disappeared into the crowd. The morning sun broke over Lagos in golden streaks, spilling across the glass windows of the Hudson Tower. Inside, the air was charged with renewal. Staff bustled through the lobby, reporters crowded the front entrance, and the company's reputation, once shattered, was beginning to heal. Amara stood before the mirror in her new office on the top floor. Her reflection looked surreal, a 25-year-old girl from Enugu, now director of the Hudson Youth Scholarship Fund. She still wore her humble Ankara dress, her braids tied in a simple bun, and yet the world now looked at her differently. She took a deep breath, clutching the gold-plated name tag on her desk that read, "Amara Chaik, Director." The door opened softly. Veronica Hudson entered, dressed in a cream suit, her expression calm but reflective. The storm in her life had passed, but the scars remained, both literal and emotional. "You look good here," Veronica said quietly. "This office suits you." Amara smiled faintly. "I still feel like I don't belong." "You do," Veronica replied. "You fought for it. You saved me, my company, and my name. But most of all, you reminded me what true leadership looks like." Amara nodded. "And you reminded me that even those who fall can rise again." Veronica chuckled softly. "Seems we both saved each other." There was a pause, warm, comfortable silence. Then the door burst open. It was Barrister Okechukwu, holding a sealed envelope. His face was serious. "Madam Hudson, Miss Amara, we need to talk." "What is it?" Veronica asked. He placed the envelope on the table. "Remember the anonymous voice who called me after Desmond's arrest? He claimed there was still a secret about the foundation's origin. I did some digging. This letter was sent to the legal archives yesterday, from an anonymous donor." Veronica's brows furrowed. "Anonymous donor?" Amara looked confused. "What kind of letter?" Okechukwu handed it to her. "It's addressed to you." Amara hesitated, then tore it open. Inside was a single page, typed neatly, and signed with a name neither of them expected. Her hands trembled as she read aloud. "Dear Amara Chaik, if you are reading this, it means the truth has finally found its way to you. 5 years ago, I established the Hudson Youth Foundation not as a corporate program, but as a personal mission. What I never told anyone, not even Madame Veronica, is that the inspiration for it came from your father, Dr. Chaik, who once saved my life. He treated me after a car accident in Enugu when no hospital would take me in without payment. He didn't know who I was and he didn't care about status. He saved me with nothing but his heart. When I discovered years later that his daughter had applied for a scholarship abroad, I personally ensured she got it, without revealing my name. Amara, destiny brought us full circle. You saved my life twice, once through your father's kindness and again on that plane. Never forget, sometimes fate writes stories our minds can't imagine. With gratitude, Veronica Hudson." The room went silent. Amara looked up slowly, tears filling her eyes. "My father?" Veronica stared, speechless. "That can't be. I never wrote this letter." Okechukwu examined it. "It's verified, Ma." It was registered 5 years ago, filed under your name with your foundation's seal. The handwriting, signature, all authentic. Veronica sat down, stunned. I don't even remember signing this. That must have been during my recovery after the Enugu accident. I was unconscious most of that time. I never knew who saved me. Amara wiped her eyes. Then it's true. My father saved your life, and years later you saved mine. For the first time Veronica smiled fully, soft, humbled. So fate wasn't punishing us after all. It was completing a circle. The three sat in silence, absorbing the moment. Finally Okechukwu broke it. There's one more thing. He handed Amara a small USB drive. This was attached to the letter. It contains old video footage from the hospital security cameras in Enugu. It shows your father, late Dr. Chaik, performing that surgery. And at the end, there's a note from him. Amara's heart raced. A note? Yes, the lawyer said quietly. He recorded a message. Veronica gestured to the computer. Play it. Okechukwu inserted the drive. The screen flickered. There he was, a younger man in a white lab coat, sweat glistening on his forehead, his kind eyes tired but full of hope. If anyone ever sees this, he said, it means the woman I helped survived. My name is Dr. Ifani Chaik. I may not live long, but I believe kindness never dies, it passes on. Whoever you are, remember that the smallest act of good can ripple through generations. The clip ended. Amara covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. Veronica's eyes glistened too. That man, that's the face I saw just before I blacked out in the accident, Veronica whispered. He stayed with me praying I'd live. And now, his daughter saved me all over again. Amara sobbed quietly, whispering, God's ways are mysterious. Veronica took her hand gently. Then let's honor him together. We'll name the scholarship fund after your father, the Ifani Chaik Foundation. Every young person who rises through it will know this story. Amara nodded, her voice breaking. Thank you, Ma. You've turned my pain into purpose. Veronica smiled softly. And you turned my pride into redemption. The camera crews outside began to set up for the live press conference, unaware of the miracle unfolding behind those closed doors. As the two women stepped out together, flashes filled the room. The crowd cheered. For the first time, neither of them stood higher than the other. They stood side by side, equal in grace and strength. In that moment, the world saw something greater than wealth or power. It saw forgiveness, faith, and destiny intertwined. The same seat that once sparked conflict had now seated two souls on the same journey. The headlines that night read, The Student and the CEO, a story of fate, forgiveness, and rebirth. And for millions watching across the world, the story of Amara and Veronica became a lesson. No one rises too high to fall, and no one falls too low to rise again. 6 months later, the world had almost forgotten the chaos that once surrounded the names Amara Chaik and Veronica Hudson. But within Nigeria, their story had become legend, told in classrooms, churches, and even market stalls. It was no longer just about a plain seat or a scandal. It had become a symbol of justice, forgiveness, and destiny. The Ifani Chaik Foundation, now officially launched, had begun awarding full scholarships to gifted but underprivileged students across Africa. Hundreds of lives were already changing. News outlets covered the story as a global model of integrity and redemption. Amara's face appeared on magazine covers and television interviews, but she stayed humble. Every morning she arrived early at the foundation's modest headquarters in Lagos, greeting staff by name, reviewing new applications, and visiting schools to speak with students. Yet, despite the success, something still weighed on her heart. She missed her father, the man whose quiet sacrifice had set everything in motion. One quiet Sunday morning she decided to visit her hometown Enugu, to see her mother. The drive was long but peaceful, the dusty red roads bringing back childhood memories. When she arrived, her mother, Mama Chaik, was sitting on the veranda weaving baskets like she used to. "My daughter," she cried, jumping up with tears in her eyes. "Look at you. Lagos air has favored you." Oh. Amara laughed, hugging her tightly. "Mama, I've missed you." They sat together under the mango tree, sipping zobo as birds chirped in the background. "Mama," Amara said softly, "did you know Daddy once saved Madame Veronica's life?" Mama Chaik's eyes widened slightly, then she nodded. "Yes, my daughter. He told me about the woman he saved after that accident. He said she was strong, proud, the kind who doesn't forget kindness. But he never told me," Amara whispered. Her mother smiled faintly. Your father believed good deeds don't need announcements. He said, God keeps records better than man. Amara's eyes glistened. He was right. Back in Lagos, Veronica Hudson stood before a crowd of young students in an auditorium painted in the foundation's colors, blue and gold. Her speech was raw, unpolished, sincere. I once believed success meant control, she said. But I learned true success is the number of lives you lift when you fall. That lesson came from a young woman who taught me courage and forgiveness, and from her father whose compassion saved a stranger's life. She gestured toward the stage wings. And today I'd like to honor them both. Amara walked out to thunderous applause, her eyes shining. The two women hugged, the crowd cheering as if watching history being rewritten. Then Veronica turned back to the microphone. There's one more announcement. The Afani Chaik Foundation will now partner with Hudson Group to launch a medical research grant to fund hospitals like the one that saved my life years ago. We're naming it the Hope Initiative. The audience erupted again. Reporters captured every tear, every smile, every triumphant expression. In that moment, all the wounds of the past, the humiliation on the plane, the online backlash, the arrests, seemed to fade into purpose. After the event, as the guests dispersed, Amara stood by the window of her new office, watching the sunset paint the city gold. Veronica joined her quietly. You've done well, Veronica said. Your father would be proud. Amara smiled gently. Our Father in heaven is proud. Because we finally used what we were given, not to destroy each other but to build something that lasts. They stood together in silence for a while, two women once torn apart by pride and pain, now bound by shared destiny. Then Veronica added, I've been thinking, the day I took your seat on that plane I thought I was taking what was mine. But now I see, God only sat me next to you to remind me who I'd become. Amara smiled. And he used that same seat to remind me that courage can come from anywhere, even from the quiet corners of an economy seat. They both laughed softly. Outside, the foundation's signboard gleamed in the fading light. The Afani Chaik Foundation, building tomorrow through kindness. As the evening breeze swept through the city, both women felt the peace of closure. The story that began in conflict had ended in grace. The seat that once divided them had become a symbol of destiny fulfilled. And somewhere beyond the clouds, where flights soar and souls rest, the spirit of Dr. Afani Chaik smiled upon them both. Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with friends and family. Your support helps bring more powerful African tales like this to life.